I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today, we're reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 127, and let's focus on verses 1 and 2. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, and to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sleep. Now, I remember the first time that I heard the words of the blues man, the Reverend Dan Smith. He sang, "Any man, if he knows how, can take a set of tools and build him a house, but God has to build a home." You know, I was living in a grand old home in Midtown Memphis, just a few blocks away from the old French Quarter Hotel, when that song came floating down the hallway from a roommate's stereo. And in essence, the Reverend Dan Smith was singing today's psalm. Psalm 127 was written by King Solomon around the time of the temple's dedication. Now, the psalm begins by deflecting people's attention from the architecture and focusing them on the architect, who is the Lord. Now, of course, Solomon had overseen the construction, and it would have been easy for him to attribute the temple's importance to his Solomon-sized wisdom. But Solomon let everyone know the security of the nation does not rest in its defense department, but in its defender. And King David had built up the military, but peace does not rest in an overwhelming number of horses and chariots. It rests in the Prince of Peace, the Messiah, Jesus himself. Or do you suppose that your religious devotion will save you? You know, eating the bread of sorrows in today's psalm is a reference to observing the Passover. So, to eat the unleavened matzah bread. No, our defense does not come from our army or from our personal holiness. It comes from the Lord himself, from the God who is devoted to us. Romans 5 verse 8, but God demonstrates his own love toward us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So the houses of Israel that need the Lord's building refer to the temple, the nation, and the families of Israel. Psalm 127 verses 3 through 5, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate. I love the imagery of a quiver of children. Children are like arrows. We attach our values to them, and then we shoot them into the future. And if we build our homes by worldly counsel, well, then what kind of values do we shoot into the future? But if we diligently teach our children God's word, well, we not only fortify this generation, but we ensure the future welfare of our descendants, of the church, and of the nation. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 and 7, this was part of God's command to Israel. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And we need your monthly support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with your friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.